Now
Now we're
laughing.
laughing. All right. So welcome, Orly. Nice to see you. We're going to sit comfortably, and make no mistake, comfort is key. So there's no struggle. There need no. So pick a comfortable position, posture of your choice, where there's no struggle being in it. Just even if we were to stay in it, which we're not, for 45 minutes, let the idea of no struggle be primary factor. So you can sit cross-legged, virasana. Catherine can sit on a chair. Adjust yourselves so that you're sitting upright in a dignified manner. Pronating the palms at the roots of the thighs can really help. Relax the upper arms. Feel the dignity of sitting upright. If you need to employ any of the many techniques we have done for many, many years to adjust the shoulder blades flat on the back. Some of you who have already, Mary Beth, have seen take the arms out to the side. You can fold them into the palm, into the center of the chest. That will enable you to feel those shoulder blades flat on your back. And now close the eyes. And just sit and know that you're sitting. So sense that this practice together as this co-created Sangha or community, that you belong here. It's important to know that. Together, aspiring to similar aspirations in life. First of all, to be safe, to be happy, to be healthy, and that life is easeful. Notice the habits in the body and in the mind which are limiting. Notice the habits in the mind which are free. And invite yourself to this path that is wholesome and skillful. See if you can now establish what I'll call a baseline of goodwill. Establish this baseline of goodwill in your mind. Practice together also in the sense of bringing together all aspects of yourself. Make yourself whole by letting yourself befriend the fragmented parts. Sense that you're becoming good-hearted and also wholehearted. And then finally, allow compassion and wisdom to guide you. May I be a boat, a raft, a bridge for all beings to cross the flood. May I be a resting place for the weary. May I be medicine to all who are sick. May I be a lamp in the darkness for those who are lost. And may I do so as long as earth, sky, and galaxies exist, until all beings are enlightened. I vow to be here to serve them all. Now, when you're ready, gently allow your eyes to open and stretch out your legs. So we're going to do, as I was talking to Donna a moment ago, a Shin. I call it a Shin. I love to have these kind of quippy names for the body wisdom classes that you get the recordings, on the website that we just spoke of. So this is a Shin-centric class, guiding your minds to your outer shins, which for most people bow out. We did some of this work on Tuesday. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to give you a choice today of starting in, as we typically do, a supine posture, either Supta Virasana, which legs are in Virasana, and not for those that have any problems with their knees, or do what we did on Tuesday, start in Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, hold your ankles and shins, and do Supta Swastikasana to open the groins. So I'll let either Supta Virasana, which is a little bit challenging on the knees. You can do trunk support. So if you haven't done Supta Virasana, I would say in 5 days, then see if you can pick Supta Virasana. There you go, that's good. If those of you with knee issues, Catherine, then obviously Supta Swastikasana. Okay, so I like to give you choices. So Supta Swastikasana. Orly, if you're confused in any way, you'll let me know by unmuting yourself or doing the chat box, and I'll go to read it. So Supta, I'll show from a frontal view, Orly. It's cross-legged to open up those windows. Donna, Supta Virasana, where's Val? Elaine, good. So for those of you with knee issues, if your knees bother you, then I would choose Supta. Yeah, Donna, back up the trunk support. Yeah, it's too close to your buttocks. Anita, cross-legged. These poses, you know, we've been doing these for years. Okay. Belt if your thighs splay out. Orly, see if you can get your see if you can just bring your heels closer. See if you can get your thighs a little more parallel to each other, my friend. All right, Lindsay, that's good. Stay with Virasana. Those of you just coming into class, Carla, use trunk support or Supta Virasana. Okay, Julia got the belt on. Gail, you're doing your bridging. That's a wise idea. Okay. See, Rahel. Head support if you need it. Just initially, the arms are down by the side in either of the two positions. Good. So we worked on, remember we started this whole sequence about 2 weeks ago. We started on inner groins. We did a lot of work on inner groins. Then all last week, Janet, this was done for you. We talked about frontal groins and inner groins, right? We alluded to poses that were more frontal groins, more inner groins, and now you're in a pose that's these frontal groins. Although I will say, if I can make my own personal statement, I do feel that Supta Swastikasana opens the frontal groins more than Supta Virasana. Supta Virasana, you can feel a lot of opening in the mid-quadricep. It's a slight, I shouldn't say slight difference, there is a difference. Make sure you have enough trunk support, everyone, so your abdomen is not puffing up toward the ceiling. Now, when you're ready, stretch the arms overhead. Yeah, you can take the arms overhead. And now hold your wrists, upper arm or elbow. See, make sure if you have an ability to look at yourself, if you're sidelined to the screen, Julia, good. The elbows are in line with the shoulders, not higher. Donna, you can go closer in because you're more mobile in your upper. Try holding your upper arm. So for those of you who have tighter, if you have restriction in your armpit, then hold the wrists. But otherwise, go to the upper arm or elbows. That's it, Val. So you have to do what you need to do for your body. All right, now the Supta Swastikasana people will need to change the cross. So I would come out of it in the same way, take the legs up to Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, and then change the cross. The Supta Virasana people just stay where you are. And you've changed the arm position. Remember, I'm not insisting that you wear a belt, but if you're finding that your thighs are not remaining parallel in Supta Virasana, then wise to belt the legs. Remember, those of you in Supta Virasana, Mary Beth and others, lift the inner knees up toward the ceiling. That inner knee should be moving to the outer knee. And I point that out only because, in part of the sequence today, we're focused on the inner knees. Okay, let me see. Oh, Marina, you are. I was wondering where you were. That's it. You now take the arms down by the side and just rest. Focus on the breath. See if you can allow yourself this last minute or so that we have in this supine pose to merge your body, your breath, and your mind. So the process of involution begins as soon as we come to the mat, as soon as we sit down, but the involution takes time. Now, Supta If you're awesome people, I'll take you out first. Take the hands into the arches, press the shins down, and inhale, up you come. All right, and then you can kneel, cross your ankles, or lean to one side. The Supta Swastikasana people, just hold your ankles or shins, place the feet on the floor. Okay. Yeah, I think you could, this would be fine for you to also, this I call it quasi-Jethara. It's not really Jethara, it looks like Jethara Parvatasana, but it's not. Again, for your groin. So we've done this a lot, and I'm just pointing this out orally for you. So I'm just swinging the knees side to side. As I go to the left, you can really see how I open up that front groin. This is what I call the elixir, the panacea for sitting, okay? Quasi-Jethara, when you're ready. You're on your back, feet are as close, bring the heels in as close to the buttocks as the knees will allow, and then just go back and forth. Those of you who've had some chronic lower back issues will find, go slowly, no need to rush. Quasi-Jethara, that's it, Julia. Have the feet apart, make sure the feet are apart, good, Anita, back and forth. That's it, Elaine, yeah. So this is de rigueur for most of you, we've done this quite a bit. Elaine, when we come to do dog pose, and we're not doing much weight bearing today, but when we do dog pose, you can do your Utkatasana and or jumping, you can do modified warrior 3, probably Utkatasana, or you can repeat Padangusthasana, holding the big toes, Elaine, or placing the hands underneath the feet. Okay, I think everyone else will be fine. All right, now, when you're ready, slowly come up, and what you're going to do is let's come to, have your belt nearby. All right, now, take your belt, and many of you have been working with it in this method, so I make a loop. And then, Janet, I know that this is your preferred method. I'm going to place it, the ball of the sole of the foot, and you can put your fingers in the loop. So you don't want to tense the hands in Supta Padangusthasana 1. The arms are really not a part of the posture. Yes, the belt is a part of the posture, but the hands should be relaxed, and then we'll go beyond 90 in the classic way. But see if you can not use your fingers or your hands in the pose, okay? Nor for that matter, your eyes. All right, start at 90, you'll need the belt. Orly, just so that you know, I have sneakers on because I had some issues with my feet, but I don't want you to think that I'm an advocate of wearing sneakers necessarily, although it can be good for certain postures. Okay, so now start at 9. You can do, actually, why don't you all, just to start symmetrical, guys, start in Dvipada, Start in Dvipada, knees into chest. Always a good place to begin. Yeah. Flex the feet. Open up the soles of the feet. Yes. Bring the knees in a little closer into the chest. Dvipada. Knees into chest. Dvipada. All right. Now Ekapada. Right knee stays in. Sense that in order to get the leg closer to the chest, the abdomen has to draw back. It has to deflate. Hence why this pose is an abdominal pose. Now put the belt on and start at 90 degrees. Orly, come back a little bit further away from the chest so it's at 90 and not beyond 90. I want to see the 2 legs straight. Cobra stiff, no knees. No knees. Okay. Open up the sole of the right foot. Press the left thigh down. Your mind. Press the left thigh down. Okay, now begin to move the right leg toward the chest any amount. Notice how it takes abdominal work to move the leg. The belt helps. Of course it does. It'd be a lot harder. And we've done Supta 1 without belt, where you feel that it's truly an abdominal pose. Orly, watch right above the knee and extend through the inner heel. So that if you look on your screen, Orly, you'll see how there's like this inverted C shape in the back of the knee. I want that whole knee to open. The inner knee needs to open, the outer knee. Good, Donna. Outer knee. Suck the outer shin in. The outer leg tends to feel longer. Good, Mary Beth. then the inner leg, because the shin bows out. We addressed this with Julia Monday. Keep moving the leg. Keep moving the leg. Catherine, you can hold the big toe because you might as well, because it's, yeah. Some of you can hold the big toe. Some of you can hold the sides of the foot. Yes, we had a great deal amount of work on this pose. But remember, if you're holding the sides of the foot, Rahel, right above the knee, press it back, and dual action, Rahel, is press the top of the knee back, but also extend from your inner right knee to your inner heel. Create a sharpness in your lower leg. Don't let the outer right hip move out. Imagine I'm standing beside you in your room with my sneaker, Val, and I'm sucking in that outer right hip. Just imagine that. That's actually a good visual. Yes, some of you, if you want to go, Donna, to the final pose, lift the chest, lift the head. Yes, abdomen back. And now move the shin to the forehead. Sense more that the leg comes to your forehead than you go to it. That's it. In doing so, don't let that left thigh ascend. Roll it in, press it down. If you have any kind of neck issues with this, then support the back of your neck with a bolster. Otherwise, it's not so much the abdomen or hamstring that bothers you, it can be the neck. Okay, now go back to Dvipada for symmetry. Dvipada, knees into chest. Wait there. So some of you, what I'm observing on the screen, and I'm not surprised because our minds go away from the task at hand, especially if we held that about 2 minutes. So this is what I'm seeing. Everyone, I hope they could see this. I'll look at the screen. You seemingly think you're straightening your leg. You think it's straight, but it's actually slightly bent. So Lorley, the back of the knee here is like a C, Rahel. So you have to pierce your awareness, top of the knee. It's front to back, as Jarvis would say, and extend from the inner knee to the inner heel. So employ that method that I've given you many times. Toes down, heel up will help a lot of you have no knees, okay? All right, now do Ekapada, left knee into the chest. It's hard, and most of this, I have to say, it's not that you can't straighten your leg. I know you can. What it is, and it speaks to so much of life, it's lack of attention. The attention goes away, and that's when the leg bends, okay? For many of you, you know you can straighten the leg. It's just that lack of attention is not there. And that's something to look at, not just in this in the yoga practice, but, when we're talking to someone, right? And we're thinking about what we're going to say, is lack of attention. Okay, left knee in when you're ready. Deflate the abdomen so the knee comes closer in. Now stretch the leg up. Yes. Now try that method. It's a method. Hold the heel up, toes down. Heel up, toes down. Yes, Don. Now for some of you, Val, that could cause some hyperextension in the back of the knee. Then you have to be a little bit like not so fully with that action, right? So for you, Val, if I had my and you know this, my index finger in the back of your calf, pushing it forward. Okay, now begin to move the leg. Observe the differences on the two sides. Okay, here we go. Move the leg toward. Keep the leg straight. Straight is straight, not bent. That's good, Orly. Good. Rahel. Hip in, left hip in, side ribs even. Toes down, heel up will help many of you. It's a dual action. I like to think of it as a front to back action, but also an up to the heel, down with the toes. And then see if you can keep your mind, make your mind one pointed. So much of what we're doing today is making the mind one pointed, ekagrata. See how the outer left shin bows out. The outer part of the leg is longer than the inner part. If you hold your big toe, it can bring more attention, right? To opening the back of the leg if you're able to do that. Outer shin in, so that the two sides of the leg are even. We're looking for evenness of body, evenness of mind, samatvam. Yoga is defined in the Bhagavad Gita as evenness of mind. Stay with it. Those of you who can, go to the big toe or the sides of the foot. Those of you who are able to, you can also lift the chest, lift the head, and aim that shin to your forehead without shortening the cervical spine. Without shortening the cervical spine. Good, Elaine. Left hip in. The Supta Padangusthasana 1 as a timing, Janet, that's fine. Bending the leg, of course. Usually at 2 minutes is a good timing for this pose. 2 minutes to the right, 2 minutes on the left. Observe the difference in the two legs. Okay, now again for symmetry, take Dvipada. Take Dvipada. Notice how the legs should be more easeful than that first Dvipada. Donna, that's really good. Bringing the thighs in so they're resting on your chest. You're aiming. Catherine, see if you can bring the legs in a little closer to the chest, almost so the tops of the thighs rest there. And do continue to flex the feet, open the feet, extend through the heel hinge, which you need to do in dog pose, which will happen in a moment. Elaine, you can, we're not going to be in dog pose for very long, but you can do Utkatasana, I think, if you'd like, and the jumping that you've been practicing. Okay, let's come to the top of the mat. Stand on the top of the mat. And you're going to jump or step back for dog pose. Now we'll do this dog pose, taking the feet, we call it, a wide dog pose and a wide Uttanasana. And then we'll do Padangusthasana, Padahastasana, aiming to get the shins in. So let's start at the top. It's just good for energy. Start with the feet apart. Okay, now look down at your feet, make them parallel to the outer edges of the mat. And I'll face forward and suck the outer shins in. So if you have shins like mine, you can see on the screen how they bow out a great deal. So I imagine you can bring the palms of your hands to your outer shins and suck the shins in. Imagine that here's like a giant rubber band, right? Giant rubber band on your outer shins, giant rubber band. And now raise the arms up, reach up, exhale, bend forward, and then jump or jump, or step back, observing which leg. Now, take the feet wider apart to the outer edges of the mat for this very first dog pose. Elaine, that's good. And Elaine, then you can do just a chair squat and time yourself in your mind's eye, with back flat against the wall, which you didn't do on Tuesday, which would be fine. After that, suck your outer shins in. The outer bank of the leg for most people is longer than the inner bank of the leg. As you press that's it. As you press the outer shins in, move the inner knees and the inner heels away from each other. That's a double, that's a triple action. Good, Donna. Now press the hands down. Go up through the arms, inner arms, and make your armpits thin. Julia, it looks to me you can step a little further. I know you're laughing when I say that. That's it. Legs are straight, no knees, no knees, no knees, like Supta Padangusthasana 1. That's it, Nancy. Don't let the inner heels collide. Those feet should remain parallel. All right, now the heels are to the outer edges of the mat. Walk your hands back to the feet. Walk your hands back to the feet and take a wide Uttanasana. This is a very classical way to begin a sequence. Wide dog pose, wide Uttanasana. It's easy with the hands on the floor and the feet wide. Elaine, Elaine, since our conversation yesterday, just do I don't even want you to do that one. I mean, that's fine, you're doing calf stretch, but you could do this. You just don't want the head down, okay? You can do the calf stretch is fine. Okay, Uttanasana. Donna, that's beautiful. You have the ability to use those ropes. Legs are straight. Good, Rahel. Outer shins in. You want to put your legs against the wall, you can employ that method as well. Okay, and now come up. Now, I said something about the inner banks of the legs and the outer banks of the legs in Supta Padangusthasana 1. When you come into Padangusthasana, you're going to hold the big toes between the first two fingers and thumb. I want you to do Padangusthasana and focus on the inner seam of the leg, the inner seam. When you do Padahastasana, this one, when the hands are underneath the feet, and then when you straighten the legs, I want you to focus on the outer seams of the legs, right? That makes sense because When you're holding the big toe is on the inner seam of the leg. When your hands are tucked underneath your feet, your baby finger is resting with the baby toe. So inner bank of the leg, and let me just explain one more thing. We're aiming to get an evenness in the legs, which is inherently not there due to the shape, the geometry of the leg. So I'm just explaining this to give you a context of this class. Okay, so you can face me or in profile. We're going to do Padangusthasana. All right. So in Padangusthasana, the feet are never together. They are indeed apart. They're never together. No such pose exists. All right, take the arms up, reach up, exhale, bend forward, and I want you to bend the legs. Bend the legs like Dvipada. Hold the big toes. Use between the thumb, index finger. Hold them strong. All right. Now focus, the feet are apart. Focus, good Marina, on your inner legs. Now, as you press the feet and straighten the legs, notice the synchronicity of what happens. In order for the legs to straighten, you have to press the feet, lift the arches. Yes. Lift the backs of the thighs, and then, good Marina, and then go down with your armpits. Elaine, you can, or do it with the hands as I showed against the wall. Do that a few times in that manner. Catherine, move the buttock flush to the backs of the knees so you're not getting as much as those ischial tuberosities to point up. Roll the buttocks forward. Donna, that's really good. Roll the buttocks forward. Good, Mary Beth. This is good. A little bit more, Rahel, the buttocks are seemingly, in my view, a little bit sinking back. Can you move the buttocks slightly forward to the head side so you don't lose that perpendicular quality? That's it. Okay, now place the hands on the hips. Well done. All right, now Padahastasana. That's when the hands are tucked underneath the feet. You will all be able to do that when your legs are bent. Raise the arms up, feet are hip width apart. Exhale, bend forward, insert one hand, but often, since we're not going to do this twice, if you always do right hand underneath right foot, change it up. Do left hand. Usually it would be done. Elaine, you can do back against the wall, like a chair squat. Now slowly begin to straighten the legs. So how do you straighten the legs? Focus on the outer seam of the leg, the outer seam of the leg. So you have to press the feet, lift the arches, lift the backs of the thighs, and go down with the armpits. Go down. The buttocks want a good one. The buttocks want to shift behind you. That's it, Carla. And then as you strain, slightly take the buttocks forward. So the legs are perpendicular to the floor. So this is for the inner bank of the leg, the outer bank of the leg, knowing why we're doing this. So there's an evenness in the legs. The two banks, like the two banks of a river, are flowing freely and easily. Okay, and now inhale, up you come. All right, now this is one of my favorite ways to do Supta Padangusthasana 1. So we're going back to what we did and just watch. So I like to, if you've been doing a lot of asymmetrical work, it's always good to do Dvipada. We just did symmetrical work, Padangusthasana and Padahastasana, but it's very good to alternate asymmetrical poses with symmetrical, especially if you've had some chronic back or hip issues. So watch. Now when I take Ekapada to Supta 1, I'm going to turn my foot. I'll show you this. Instead of the foot facing forward, which is the classical way, right? Most times it's taught this way. I'm turning my foot out. And what that does to the geometry, it wraps the shin skin in the direction of the calf. It kind of entwines the flesh. So I'm just turning my foot from 90 degrees facing forward to, let's just say 30 degrees. And in addition to wrapping the skin around the shin, it also gets clear, I would say, the integration of the thigh bone, the femur, in its hip socket. So it's very helpful also for people who have had some, a variety of hip issues. Okay, so Supta Padangusthasana 1 with the foot slightly turned out. Slightly is slightly, but just say 30 degrees. Okay, you can do Dvipada, Ekapada, and then the belt is there. Look at your foot. And then as you saw, I actually use my hand just because it's really nice to employ a body part to get the action, right? So you saw I put my right palm on the outer shin and I sucked it in. Now, of course, turning the foot out will inherently do that, okay? And then we'll do the same pose. Those of you who have had some hip issues, and this is often given in some hip therapeutics, that it might be helpful for you. Not so much for the shin aspect of it, but the hip issue. And then begin to move the leg. So it's a different way of doing good bow, way of doing Supta Pangushtasana 1. That's it. The legs are straight, foot is slightly turned out. Observe what the effect that has on that outer shin skin. Observe the effect, right? You're doing something, you're observing. Observe the effect of the femur head. And Rahel, this speaks to that angular Utthita Trikonasana that we had talked. It's very similar. Okay, keep the legs straight.
Are we externally rotating the leg or just the foot?
No, it's almost impossible to separate the two. It's a slight external rotation of the leg, Donna, as well. So it's like that angular Utthita Trikonasana. Yeah. It'd be very hard to externally rotate lower leg and not externally rotate upper leg. Yeah. A smidge. Yeah, turned out. Good. So hopefully you're aware of your outer shin, right? That skin wrapping around that calf flesh. Focus on that and the thigh bone. And no need to hold the big toe on this side because we want to address the shin. And then when you're ready, take Ekapada on the left side and same thing with a slightly turned out foot. For some people with hip issues, this is a very helpful way of doing Supta Pangushtasana 1. Okay, Ekapada. And then place the belt well. Good, Orly. Turn the foot slightly out. See how that inherent, when you change the geometry, you're sucking that outer left shin in. It has a corresponding value in that hip side. You will feel the thigh bone more. There's more clarity when you turn the foot out to feel that thigh bone insert into the hip socket. And then begin to move the leg in the same manner. These look good. The legs are straight. Good, good, good. Legs are straight. Yeah, we're going to do Supta Pangushtasana 2 soon. And if it bothers you, then don't, right? Take the leg toward you. So I'm glad some of you are employing different methods. Elbows down, that's good. And of course, the sequence is talking today about these outer shins, sucking that skin in a variety of standing poses. All right, now we'll quickly do Supta Pangushtasana 2. So start back in Supine Tadasana, feet together. All right, take the right knee in to the chest, then put the strap on. Now decentralize your left leg a little bit. Now, why are we decentralizing the left leg? So the pelvis is balanced side to side. Orly, if you don't mind just adjusting your screen so I can see you. Yeah, that's it, thank you. All right, now with the decentralize about 3 inches, take your left leg out of the median line. Now take the right leg out to the side, reaching through your inner left arm. Supta Pangushtasana. So Orly, Supta Pangushtasana, this one. Out to the side. Yeah, that's it. And Gail, you could also bend your right leg. Bend it. Meaning like this, yes. Because then it won't be as intense on that inner thigh, right? So it's just slightly bent. Everyone else's right leg is straight, left leg is straight, left leg is decentralized. Focus on broadening across, good, Julia, the pubic plate. Gail, yeah, keep it bent in that manner. Just easier on the inner groin. So for you, Orly, you want the right leg straight. That was just for Gail. Okay, right leg out to the side. And then remember the right arm is off the floor and it's straight. And it's straight. Turn your abdomen, everyone, from the right to the left. Now that's really good. All right, now take the leg up, Supta Padangusthasana. Gail, you'll do the bedside again for both your inner thighs.
Ronnie, this is exactly what you taught in Supta Padangusthasana 1. Basically, the foot is turned and the inner leg is this is exactly the same thing, right? It's funny.
That's good, Rahel. All right, left leg out, decentralize the right, a smidge. Gail, you'll keep the other leg bent. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, Orly, you'll have both straight legs. Okay, now take Supta Padangusthasana 2, which I always say Alana's not here, but I think we did Supta Padangusthasana 2 more than any other pose for 19 months. Right, Elaine? Take the leg up. Val, you're getting beautiful width across your pubic plate. Can you feel it? I hope you can. Because from my vantage point, that width. So imagine, you all know Upavishta Konasana, the pose that I'm sitting in. Your pose now, guys, think that you're in Upavishta Konasana. You'll get a completely different scenario. Supta Padangusthasana 2 is very similar in that feeling across the pubic plate. You want to come up and do Upavishta? Good, Val. And Val, you decentralize that right leg quite a bit, and that's great. Okay, these look good. Janet, really good. That leg is straight. Gail, just keep yours bent because of the inner groin. Okay, these are really, really good. All right. Liking what I'm seeing, and is to point to Rahel's point, take a glance at your left foot, guy. See that your foot is parallel to the floor. So that window is opening. All right. Now take the leg up. Gail, I think you'll be okay with all these standing. I would just shorten the stance a smidge, okay? All right, up you go. All right, now we're doing Uttita Trikonasana. If you need to do an angular Uttita Trikonasana, that's fine with me. We're going to do it in 2 different ways, and I'll explain why. So the first, stand in Samastiti now with the feet together. And I would say either take your hands, apply that rubber band, so I'm sucking with my hands, my outer shins in. So my legs don't look like this. You see, these are bowed out shins. This is how I would normally stand. But now I'm sucking in the shins. But as you suck the outer shins in, you have to move the inner knees and inner heels away from each other. That's what we call a double or a triple action. All right, that's one thing doesn't happen independently. They happen together, synergistically. Now, when you're ready, bring the hands to the level of the chest and jump. Any issues with your feet? Okay, now here's the thing. Once you jump the feet apart, you can really feel, just go to, just take a shorter stance. Yeah. Now, when the feet, because of the geometry, the outer shins will bow out even more because of the geometry. So with your mind's eye or with your hands, you have to suck the outer shins in, Uttita Hasta Padasana, the pose you're in, move the inner knees away. All right. Now, turn the right leg from the root of the thigh out. Look at your foot. Make sure that the toes are pointing straight on. Straight on. Trunk is facing me. Extend your arms. Extend your arms. Now, keep the legs absolutely poker stiff as you come into Uttita Trikonasana to the right. You can start with the left hand on the hip, revolve the chest, and then full pose. Full pose. So the way it's classically taught is hand, it's not weight bearing, the fingers are lightly touching the shin or the ankle, depending on your mobility. The calf moves to the shin. Now, observe what the outer shin is doing. And can you remember what I asked you to do in Supta 1? Also, when the foot was slightly turned out, suck the outer shin in. Suck the outer shin in. Now press the feet down. Good, Julia. Inhale, up you come. All right, go back to Samastiti. Shins in, arches up. There's a buoyancy in the pelvis. When your outer shins are moving in, the inner arches lift and the pelvis doesn't collapse. The energy feels buoyant, lifted. And then again, jump the feet wide apart or step. Go wide and suck the, except for you, Gail, your angular spine, and then outer shins in. All right, now again, turn the left leg out from the root of the thigh. The chest is still facing forward. Right foot turns in. All right, just take a glance at your left foot. Press the big toe down, inner heel down. That will help immediately move the outer left shin in. Press the big toe. Big toe of the left foot, inner heel down, outer shin in. And then Utthita Trikonasana to your left, hand on hip to turn, and then full pose. Watch when you come into the full pose. Don't let that outer shin bow out. Outer shin, outer shin. And I'm going to teach you a way in which you can use your hand. These look good. Make sure you're not too wide, Lindsay, and that calf is moving to the shin, maybe as you did the other day, the block there, so you put a break on it. It's always helpful. Gail, that's good, really good with the angular way. All right, now inhale up, you come. All right, now I'm just going to show, you know, you've probably thought of this, but I want to make a point in this. So watch. I'm going to do, again, we'll go to the right side first. And I'll choose to get a block, and this is dependent on your own mobility. But instead of putting the hand down on the shin, I want to highlight my inner right forearm up against my right shin. Okay, the palm can be flat or not depending on the flexibility. So I'm using a piece of my inner right forearm, see, I'll show it from this angle, to actually move my outer shin in, right? So I'm connecting a piece of my inner right forearm with my outer shin in the same way I asked you to turn the flesh. Now you might say, oh, that's brilliant, but you know, you probably thought of this before, right? It's just the articulation of using a body part to accomplish something, which is very different. It's than having the hand lightly touching the shin. Because the hand, it's not that it's wrong, or one is better, it's just, so now I'm highlighting my outer shin, bringing it in. You can see a piece of my inner forearm sucking my outer shin in. Now, for someone who's like shins to do this, right, it's very helpful because a bodily part on another body part is a big reminder to suck the outer shin in. Okay, so have two blocks nearby. You're doing Utthita Trikonasana again with shin awareness. So you're wrapping that outer skin. And why are we doing this? Recall, why are we doing this? To create an evenness, samatvam, in the body and actually in the mind, right? All right, here we go. Utthita Trikonasana to the right. Have a block, jump the feet wide apart, suck the outer shins in. Now the block, as you saw me do it, it's not close to the toes, it's actually in line with that outer right shin. Because I want a piece of your forearm, the palm can be flat, it can be on fingertips, but I want the inner right forearm to suck the outer shin in. And now let's take full pose from the get-go. Outer shin in, full pose. That's it, Val, go. Full pose. Orally move the chin away from the sternum to keep your right ear parallel to the floor versus angular. Janet, move the chin away from the sternum. Rahel, that's really good. So good. Have a piece of your inner right forearm connected to your outer shin. Catherine, see if you can draw up from your outer right knee to your hip. Good, Marina. And now inhale, up you come. All right, change sides. Go back to Samastiti, shins in, arches lifting. There's a sense of tallness. When your shins come in, observe it's like right now my shins are out and I'm sinking to the floor. When my shins are in, the arches become buoyant. There's a sense of upliftedness in the self, right? Upliftedness. Sometimes it's the smallest things that make the biggest things happen. And then jump apart. Outer shins in, Utthita Hasta. Now again, trunk facing me is really the very best way to show it. Turn the left leg out. Look at the toes, yes. Block is beside you if you need it. Some of you don't need the block, good, Carla. And now exhale, go, Utthita Trikonasana. Keep the legs straight on the entry and on the exit. Have a piece, have the block not too far forward all. So have your inner left forearm is connected to, good, Lindsay. The inner left forearm, the skin. Let the skin touch the skin as a reminder, good Julia, to suck the outer shin in. Suck the outer shin in. Marina, you could be a smidge wider in the stance, I think, to elongate your spine. Outer shin in. Again, Catherine, on this side, to keep that left leg poker stiff, draw up from the knee to the hip. If you can't, if you need to come up, please do. That's it. Now press both feet down and inhale, up you come. All right, now we're going to Chitta Parshvakonasana with Shin awareness. And what I'd like you to do is, you know, I don't want to insist on any certain camera angle because I know it's challenging for some people to do that. But in this next pose, I'd rather have, in this particular today, I'd like you to have your shin, your right shin. So watch how I'm coming into it frontally. I'm not facing, I'm not doing it this way, sideways. I want to make sure when you come into Chitta Parshvakonasana with the hand beside the right foot, that the shin is perpendicular to the floor, all right? So if you can set up so that your shin is facing me, that would be ideal, right? So it's just facing this way, just like I showed, not frontally. All right, that's it. All right, so just get situated. We're coming, have a block nearby. Some of you will need it, some of you won't. If you want your back heel supported on the wall, set up in that manner. Good. All right, take the legs wide apart. We're coming into Chitta Parshvakonasana. You know this pose. All right, go wide with the legs because you'll need to form the right angle. We're coming into Warrior 2 first. All right, now sit down, form a right angle, or as close to a right angle with your right leg. All right, now place your right hand on the outside of your right knee. Janet, watch that. Yeah, bring the knee over the ankle, the thigh parallel. Watch the shin. The shin has to be perpendicular to the floor. Lynn, that's good. Perpendicular to the floor. Use a piece of your arm against your knee. So as much as the knee is into the arm is into the knee. I don't want to see any, good Nancy, beautiful. Nancy, that's excellent. Excellent angle, inner knee to outer knee. That's why I've asked you to face the knee. And ideally, unless you can't get the angle of what I'm asking you to do, have your shin facing me. Because I'm looking to see that your inner knee, Julia, try it with the arm on the outside of the knee, which I think is a little bit harder. Okay, now inhale, Lindsay, just stay up. Inhale, up you come. All right, left side. This is not the way we typically orient. We haven't done it this way on Zoom, but I want to see your shin. Okay, so now just look at me. This sounds ridiculous. Look at me. So this is my shin, and I want the shin, your knee to face this way, not sideways. Okay. All right, let's try it again. All right, Lindsay, just stay in Warrior 2. Outstretch your arms. Take a wide enough stance so that the knee is over the ankle, my friends. All right, now exhale. Bring the hand to the floor. Press the arm into the knee. Good, Nancy. Knee into the arm. Don't let that inner knee turn in. I'm begging you. Don't let the inner knee turn in. Marina, that's it. Marina, go lower on the block. You don't need it that high because a piece of the left side, Marina, is engaged. Excellent, Elaine. Okay, these look really good. Mary Beth, yes. Yes. Inner knee to outer knee. Inner knee to outer knee. Don't let the inner knee descend to the floor. That's it, Janet. Okay, these look really good. This is a good way to see it on the screen. And now inhale, up you come. All right, now from here, let's do this. I want to make sure that we get through this sequence today. Let's do Parshvakonasana, and you can watch what we're going to do. We're going to, again, you'll face me, you'll step back with your left leg. So your right leg is in front. Now, one of the things that I've seen a lot with this is, do you see how the feet, or actually my right foot is further, I've decentralized my right leg than my left foot, but I've lost those indents. So see if you can get, when you step back, a heel to arch or heel to heel alignment. So those indents are there. If you go too wide, the distance between the right foot and the left foot, you lose the indents, okay? And then we're gonna do Parshvottanasana in two distinct ways. So you can face me in Samastiti, stand in mountain pose, suck the outer shins in. All right, now just because it's good for balance and this is a good functional exercise, lift your left leg up, lift, lift, lift. Good, it's great for the arches of the feet. We did this a few weeks ago, aiming, get down a little bit higher if you can, aim to get that knee more in line with the collarbones. Now, shoot it back, extend it back, and then see it good, Arlie. See if you can get a heel, don't go too far out, Arlie. Heel to heel or heel to arch. Now, if you go too wide, if the right foot is decentralized too much from the left, you'll lose those indents, and the indents are key in this pose, right? All right, now look at your right foot, press the big toe, the inner heel, like we did in Utthita Trikonasana, and suck the outer shin. If you need to use your hand to wrap that flesh, do what I'm doing. Just like Supta Padangusthasana 1, I'm turning that calf flesh, that shin, to the back of the calf. Now raise the arms up to get length of the side ribs. If your back is hurting you, don't take the arms up, just keep them on the hips. And now bend forward and come into the very first stage of Parshvottanasana. Now find out, so the legs are straight though, legs are straight down at like Parshvottanasana. Now, Julia, suck the outer shin in. So this is where we always become, it's Parshvottanasana. Right leg is straight, left leg is straight. And now bow down, like you did in Padangusthasana. Padahastasana. In bowing down, find out, has that outer shin moved out? Press the big toe, inner heel, suck the outer shin in. In this pose, the outer shin bows out a lot. Now to come up with straight legs, simply place the hands on the hips. One could extend the arms forward and inhale, up you come. Okay, stand back in Samastiti, suck the outer shins in. Outer shins in. Arches lift, pelvis lifts, there's a lightness, All right, now lift your right leg up. This is a good functional exercise for balance, good for the feet, good for the hips. Lift, lift, lift. And then when you're ready, bend it, extend it back. Get those indents. Find those indents, thumb and index finger, compact the hips. So the left leg is straight, right leg is straight. Hips are pinned in. Now, look at your left foot. See the shape of the leg. For most people, it bows out. You can see it. It's happening to me, right? The outer, I'm showing. Outer shin is bowing out. My outer leg is much longer than the inner leg. So I have to suck that outer shin in, or use my hand and wrap the skin. And then you can, as an option, take the arms up, reach out, but keep the outer shin in. Outer shin in, take concave. Legs are straight, good Nancy. Nancy, I think that's almost, yeah, not too high because now you're showing, yeah, I think you can go to the lower side. Legs are straight. This should remind you of Supta Padangusthasana 1. Now bow down, outer shin in, outer shin in, outer, good Mary Beth, outer shin in. How beautiful, outer shin in. Okay, now place the hands on the hips, inhale, up you come. So now you're probably thinking, I bet some of you have guessed what we're going to do. We're going to repeat that pose and use the same technique that we did in Supta 1 in Parshvottanasana. So we're going to do the foot turned out. So just watch, it's the same thing we're going to do. Right leg will be forward, left leg is back. Only this time, look, I'm turning my foot slightly out to get the outer shin in. And then we'll do the full pose, okay? So it's the same thing that we did in Supta 1. We're slightly turning the foot out at that 30 degree. And then you'll feel, especially because now the hips are in flexion versus extension in Supta 1, there's this beautiful drawing of the femur head back into its hip socket. This is my favorite way of doing this pose. And actually, Geeta did teach this when I was in India, I think back in 2015 with the foot turned out. You know, for me, it was revelatory. All right, so here we go. Stand in Samastiti. Shins in, right? That's one thing you'll remember. Shins in. Inner knees and inner heels away. Arch is lifting, feeling of lightness. And now lift your left leg up, same way, up, higher and higher, lighter and lighter, and then reach it back. Again, see if you can get that heel to heel or heel to arch, laying good. All right, get those indents. All right, now turn the foot slightly out. As you saw, it's actually easier when you see the sneaker. The foot is slightly turned out. You get that clarity in the hip-thigh junction. And then inherently, with the foot turned out, as you can see, it wraps the skin of the outer shin to the back, that posterior calf. And then when you're ready, come again into Parsvottanasana. This time, go into it fully, as we did Trikonasana on the second round, because now you're warmed up and you can just simply bow down. The legs are straight. Parsvottanasana, legs are straight. Hips are balanced. Well done. Julia, that's really good. See the brilliance in the foot turned out in Parsvottanasana. And now hands on hips. Inhale, come up with straight legs. Yes, don't lose that keen attention on the exit. Okay, now step forward. That's it, Julia. Step forward, Tadasana, shins in, arches up. Okay, now lift your right leg up, up. That right leg up, and then reach it back. Get your heel to arch alignment. Get those hips to be compact. Anita, see if you can bring that back right hip more around so that the pelvis is basically balanced side to side like Supta One. Legs are straight, poker stiff. That's why we spend all that time on Supta One. If it's hard for you to keep the leg straight, the back right leg, then anyone can go to the wall. You know that. And now bend forward, keeping the leg straight. Oh, sorry, turn the foot out. The main thing, we wanted to turn the foot out. Turn the foot out. Yes, and now bow down. Go fully into the pose. Sometimes we don't teach concave back. For hell, that's good. Bow down. Very, that's good. So the foot is turned out. That's it. Get that hip thigh clarity. Beautiful. And bow down. And bow down. Legs are straight. No knees. Just like Supta One in that same iteration that we did with the foot turned out. Okay. Now to come up. Be mindful of keeping the legs straight on the exit. So attention goes, awareness goes to where it's being directed, and inhale, up you come. All right, let's do this. Yes.
Ronnie, with the foot out, at least because I guess because my hip on the left is problematic, I feel like the tailbone is too tight. So on the way back, yes, you can open the buttocks and then it's fine. But when you go, it's for my hip on the left side, I felt it more than the right side. So that I felt like the tailbone, gets too much in.
Did you decentralize the front leg, Rahel? Does that help?
I did what you said, not to decentralize, but yeah. So I felt like when I came out, I could actually blossom my buttock in a sense, and that was much better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to do what's right for you on that left side, for sure. And remember that, these are just this is what we're constantly reminded. Actually, everyone can just go on their back for a second, just as a detour for a minute. I think, Rahel, we always, it's interesting to go to a class and material is being presented, but it might not be what you need to do, which you know that. Yeah, so that's always a reminder. You might need to take the leg, not to centralize as much, especially on that left side. Have a belt nearby. Gail, you'll be able to do this. All right, we're going to do basically revolve triangle on our back because I would like to do revolve triangle before time's up. Again, if you have the wall, good, Julia. It's always good to do these poses with the feet at the wall. Have a belt. All right, so this is the one, and we've done this, many, many times. We're going to take the right leg up. We'll hold the belt with the left hand, and staying on the median line, you're going to cross the right leg over to the left. Rahel, remember, in this one, the inner thighs have to resist each other. Yes, use your hand in that manner, which I love, or put a belt, second belt, Rahel, actually on the left hip. All right, so let's see Supta Padangusthasana 3, or as I prefer to say, Ekapada Jethro. So taking the belt, holding the belt with your left hand. Donna, that's good. Stay on the median line. The right leg doesn't cross over that much, because if it did, you would not be on the median line. Gail, this is good. And just what you need. The inner, yes. That's it, Val. Okay, these look good. Really pleased with these. Inner thighs, remember, the right groin belongs to, on its own level, the left groin belongs on its level, and they don't commingle. The groins remain on their respective planes. I like that language. And now take the leg up. Well done. Change sides. So those of you, we did revolve triangle the other day, and I got some notes. Oh, revolve triangle, it's so hard. But I want to connect today. Doing this pose before revolve triangle in Parsvottanasana and using a piece of our forearm will help your revolve triangle. Okay, left leg up, use the belt, hold it with the right hand, stay on the find your median line, and then cross the left to the right and turn your belly from the right to the left. That's the jethra, the turning of the abdomen. That's the name of the pose. Now, Janet, if your leg is not at a right angle to your trunk, then bending that left leg, in your case, Janet, will help. Gail, this should feel good because it's adduction. Carla, good. Okay, these are very good. Elaine, good. All right. Stay there. All right, and now inhale, up you come. All right, we're doing one last standing pose, even though we're a bit loath to be down supine and then come back up, but I want to go full circle here. So watch. And you can, you can do it. This would be great, again, like we did with Chitta Vajrakanasana, if you have your right leg in front, and then watch. Some of you will need a block. So now as I come in, revolve triangle, it's the right leg will be in front, the left arm reaches forward. Compactness in the hips and partial. But look, I'm going to make sure my arm, when I take my hand to the floor, my outer left forearm is pressing up against the shin, and that will again suck the outer shin in. So to the point being is that you might not have thought about that, and it really keeps the outer shin from bowing out. So you can face me, or if you want to go in the classical direction, that's fine. Donna, that's good. Left leg back, right leg is forward, just like Parsvottanasana. Now, reach out with your left arm, everyone. This is revolve triangle, but we're focusing good, Carl. If you need the wall for your left heel, fine as one. Now, those of you who need the block, have the block in the same way, not up to the toes, but closer to the heel. Good, Elaine. And now reach out, come forward, keep the legs straight, move the tops of the thighs back. Now, get situated with hand on block or hand on floor so that you're using, Elaine, the outer shin to suck, the outer forearm to suck the shin in. Julia, good. I want to see your tailbone, good, Gail, align with the back of your head. Legs are straight, revolve triangle. It's the other way, Orly. It's the left arm is going out, not the right. Opposite leg, opposite arm. Now, watch, Mary Beth, how that right hip is moving outward. You could, right? You have to pin that in. Rahel, that's beautiful. And now inhale, up you come. So you might not have thought, you can use your, it sounds like such a moot point. Oh, I'm using a piece of my forearm to move my shin in. Like, but this is a really good way to have the usage of the hand in the right place so it's not too far forward. Okay, step back with your right leg, left leg's in front. So it's the same thing we just did in Parsvottanasana. Legs are straight, legs are straight. Now the left leg is in front, so you're going to reach out with the right arm. Maybe the block needs to not be on the same side, right? And then touch down. Now use a piece of your left forearm, right? Right forearm, sorry, against your outer left shin to suck it in. And observe how that makes, good, Rahel. Yes, how that makes the hips compact, and you can, when the hips are compact, you can turn more. Left hip in, Mary Beth, left hip in, left hip in. Imagine I'm behind you, Mary Beth, pulling your outer thighs back. That's good, Val. You don't need the block, you can go lower, Val, because your shoulder, unless your hamstring is bothering you. Okay, that's what it is. That's what I thought. Okay, then you could do anterior facing, Val. All right, now come up.
On that side, I have to have a high block.
I figured that, Val, and you chose wisely. The other thing that can help, Val, with hamstring and revolved triangle, because you're right, is doing it with chest facing the wall and your hands much higher up on the wall. All right, now let's do this, guys. So one of the poses that really exaggerates the shins is Prasarita Padottanasana. So what I'm going to have you do is this. I'm going to have you not with the legs against the wall. Thank you, Carla, for Tuesday's suggestion, but I want one foot against the wall, because when a foot is against the wall, it actually inherently sucks that outer right shin in. And then you'll come forward to the full pose, and then you'll turn yourself around, do the hokey pokey, and then bring your left foot at the wall. So the foot that's at the wall will enjoy that compacting of the outer shin. So we're doing Prasarita Padottanasana twice, right foot at the wall and then left, but not the iteration where the legs are at the wall. So take a wide stance. Carla, good. Now, when the foot is beside the wall, as I said before, there's that, because the foot has something to press into, you will feel probably a difference in your outer right shin and your left shin. And of course, we'll turn ourselves around to even it out. Now come forward, bending at the hips. Take the first stage like Parsvottanasana, where the back is concave. Beautiful. Outer shins in. And now walk your hands back. Some of you might need a block. And now take the head down. If your head doesn't come to the floor, use the block on the low, medium, or high side. That's it. Beautiful. Eyes back. Legs are perpendicular. Now come back through the concave, the first stage. Elaine, just stay concave. And then inhale, up you come. All right, change it around so that the left foot is at the wall. So we're using the wall, a physical structure, to get that compactness in the hips, in the same way we used a piece of our arm to get that compactness in the shin. All right, go wide, and then exhale, bend forward. Legs straight, arms straight, back concave. And now walk your hands back so your upper arm and lower arm form a right angle, and take the head down. If the head doesn't come down, use a block or a blanket. And once the head is down on a surface, lift the shoulders away from the floor. Take your inner elbows toward the midline. Inner elbows toward the midline. Marina, good. And now come back through concave and inhale, up you come. Now just to come full circle, and I really hadn't thought of this prior to doing this sequence, but now we're going to do sort of an iteration of Prasarita Padottanasana called Hasta Gulpasana. And what's interesting about Hasta Gulpasana in the context of this particular class is the hands are on your outer shins, and they can even be closer to your ankles as you take the head down. And again, in the context of the way I organize this class, you're using your hands to suck the outer shins in. So I want you to just see Hasta Gulpasana, that's the name of the pose in that context. So I'll just show, so watch, the legs are, it's the same geometry, only this time the hands, instead of being here and then at a right angle, I'm actually, you can see, I'm using my hands, and it brings us full circle. I'm turning that skin, and then I go a little lower down, and I aim the head to the floor, okay? All right, so let's try Hasta Gulpasana, using your hands to turn that flesh. Elaine, that's good. All right, Hasta Gulpasana. Take your hands to your outer shins. Good, Marina. Suck that outer shin to, like you're taking that skin to the back of your calf, outer shins in. Then for some of you, you can go a little lower down and actually hold the ankles good. And now take the head down. And you've come full circle. Now, Orly, watch how the buttocks are moving backward. See if you can take a little more weight to the balls of the feet so that the legs are indeed perpendicular. Marina, that's excellent. Lovely. Beautiful. Julia, that's beautiful pose. Lift the elbows up. Okay. And now inhale, up you come. Now I don't see Gail. She might have left. I would like to do Chatuspadasana. We haven't done it in a long time. And this is helpful for some of you who want to strengthen your glute muscles. So have a block nearby. We're going to put the block between our legs. I want to go back to teaching this often because I've gotten a little bit lax in Chatuspadasana. All right, so watch. So you all know this. So the heels can come in as close to your buttocks as the knees will allow. Some of you who have had some knee issues, the heels are further away. That's fine, okay? Now, like Supta Virasana, I don't want the thighs to become Baddha Konasana. So let me show it this way. So it's not this, right? So in order for that not to happen, which it can, I'm over exaggerating a little bit, you're going to insert the block on the medium side between your inner thighs, and you're going to squeeze the block and lift the buttocks higher and higher, okay? So you can show me in profile, have a block nearby. So let's do it a few times without the block. If the block is wood, as mine is, and your tights are slippery, using a foam block can be helpful, or doing the pose naked, I guess, or with short shorts. Okay, here we go. Press the feet. Now look at the feet, guys, and make sure the feet are not turned out. The feet are running parallel to the outer edges. Now hold the sides of the mat. This is the very first one. Now press the feet, lift the arches. Now lift the buttocks. Buttocks are heavy. They have to lift. Up, up, up. Up, up, up. Up in the direction of the ceiling. Okay, and down. Catherine, that's it. And this is work that's really important for you because of the hamstrings. Okay, let's repeat. Hold the sides of the mat. Press the feet, lift the arches. Lift the buttocks higher and higher. That's a heavy portion of the leg. This is grunt work. Grunt work. If your thighs are splaying out a la Baddha Konasana, then belt, right? And with block. Okay, now we're going to insert block on this third time. Press the feet, take the block, insert between the thighs, the inner thighs, not so much the inner knees. In fact, not the inner knees. That's it, Elaine. Now go higher and higher. Lift the backs of the thighs, mid buttock, especially the mid buttock. Imagine the mid buttock was belted. Just imagine a belt around your mid buttock and lift it away from the floor. It's a lot of grunt work. Hi, Carla, we're doing Chatuspadasana. Hold it. Now raise the toes up. Toes up. Yes. And see how the toes help to move the shins in the direction of the chest. So toes up, shins to the chest side. Shins to the chest side. Okay, come down. We're going back up again. All right. So I know a lot of people feel this is somewhat grunt work, but this can, for a lot of people, strengthening the glutes and the hamstrings has an enormous impact, especially if you're not doing a practice of back bends regularly. Okay, one more chatus when you're ready. All right, now you can release the sides of the mat and up you go. Yes, now move the chest toward the head side so that your sternum is more and more perpendicular. Nancy, see if you can lift the buttocks a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. I know it's grunt work. I have to take this on. Donna, that's really good. And down you come. Take the knees into the chest and just rest there. So I was saying Gail had said on Tuesday that her inner thighs bothered her. And one of the things that can make the inner thighs not be bothered by anything is to strengthen the outer hips, the gluteal muscles, and even to do things like this. Watch. This is you know, taking on the next step and doing like a one-legged bridge where this leg is parallel, this left leg is parallel to the right knee. Not so much here, but here. So you're really engaging the glute muscles. All right, so this is what I think we'll do. Set up for Shavasana in any way you like, be it prone or supine with a chair, and I'll take you through relaxation. Use head support if you need it. So Val, I'm coming up closer to the screen so that I'm hoping you can hear me. I think some of you said that you couldn't hear me in Shavasana the past few times. So just, you know, come into your Shavasana of your choice, relaxation. You can use the chair. Nancy, that's good. The bolster. Good. If you need to be prone, that's fine too. Main thing is, just like when we sit, that you're comfortable. Adjust yourselves well on the floor, giving yourself the very right conditions for deep relaxation, which means that you want to turn the arms from the inside out, let the legs fall out to the side, and see if you cannot sleep on your spine. So sense your chest is not sinking downward into the earth, but the thoracic spine moves away from the floor. You need an eye pillow, belt, Catherine, or blanket across your arm. Donna, that's good. Adjust your arms so that the back of the arm feels very long. And that will, when you do that, your hand will rest on the mid knuckle and the palm will be inherently open. So you make that arms like a continuous river, like we made the legs, a continuous free-flowing river. There's no break. So I've been reading, I've been devising these very short meditations for you in the very beginning of class when we sit. And I've been writing them down, keeping them. And I'm going to basically repeat, some of you missed a little bit of what I spoke of at the very beginning of the class. So coming together now, practicing together in this co-creative Sangha or community. You belong here. Know that. Together now, all aspiring to similar aspirations. Fundamentally, to be safe, to be happy, to be healthy, to live with ease. Notice the habits in the body and in the mind which are limiting. Notice the habits in your body and your mind that are not limiting, that are basically free. And invite yourself to this path of freedom, which is not limiting, which is wholesome and skillful. And see, it's early morning basically. See if you can, as a daily dharma, establish what I like to say is this baseline of goodwill. This baseline of goodwill. If you can incline your heart, your mind to this baseline of goodwill. See if you can gather up this sense of bringing together all aspects of yourself. making yourself whole by befriending, and this is the key, by befriending the fragmented parts of yourself. In this way, one becomes good-hearted, warm-hearted, full-hearted. And then let compassion and wisdom be your guide. We all know inherently that quality of skillfulness, of wholesomeness. It's there. It just gets covered over by anxiety, ill will, anger. It's there. And then just allow yourself for the remaining minutes we have to rest in this feeling of wholesomeness, this feeling of good-heartedness, this feeling of goodwill to yourself and to others. And let this be your default position throughout the day. Anytime you begin to wander away from that sense of wholeheartedness, good-heartedness, incline, dial it back to this feeling that you're having now. It's there. It's always been there. And know that you have access to it at any point in time. It's just remembering to come back. Spend these remaining minutes feeling wholehearted, good-hearted, easeful. Now, for those of you who want to sit up, that's fine. Others of you might find doing child's pose can be really helpful to internalize this consciousness. This child's pose, where the trunk is supported beyond a bolster or not, is a very internalizing pose. The outside world is not accessible typically when we rest in child's pose. So if you choose to do that, just note that. So it's like keeping this feeling insular. It's an option, you don't have to do it. Different ways to access this feeling. And just in turn, you can do it. If your knees hurt, obviously in child's pose, then I wouldn't do it. Then you can just sit upright. Yeah. Just internalize this feeling of good-heartedness, having established this baseline of goodwill. And knowing that it's always there. And then for those of you who do want to sit up, I know some of you do have a formal meditation practice, and find to just spend the last few minutes that we have in a more formal posture, being on a chair or sitting in cross-legged position on a blanket with back against the wall, just so that you're building up the time spent sitting. Sitting with great ease, mindful of the touchstones of the posture, be it the buttock bones or feet on the floor if you're sitting on a chair. Mindful of the breath, the in-breath, the out-breath. mindful of the central line of the body, spine. So I'm going to unmute you, not unmute you, stop the recording. And then those of you who have questions about the